Hello, and welcome to my video of what is the Illuminati. Okay, I mean, you might be interested, you might have heard about some things, but I'm going to give you the real stuff, what it's really about, and you'll come to learn it, you'll come to be able to research it, you'll be able to, pick things out that you wouldn't normally see. When you're watching videos, when you're watching award shows, anything, all that stuff, you'll be able to see symbolism and all these things that I'm going to be touching on. And it'll be short. It won't be time consuming. And I know I look young and stuff, but I've done my research. And I've been researching it for over 5 years, and I have a very strong mind, and I know what to believe, what is real, what is just make believe, So let's start off with just some history, some basic history. So the Illuminati, I mean, just the name itself. The government would never tell you something they do not want you to know. Okay, so if they mentioned this, if they even talked about it at one point, or people came forward with it, they wouldn't name it that because everybody knows about it now, and they would never tell you anything they don't want you to know. Anything you see on TV, anything you see on YouTube, anything you see on the internet can be controlled by the government. So with that in mind, you just have to, that's the name for it right now. But no, if you understand and you follow me, it's just, it's like saying, okay, anyways, it's like saying an analogy that I can't make up at the moment. Okay, but the Illuminati was formed, or actually the Freemasons was a conspiracy group in Britain trying to overthrow the government during the startup of the American country, right? So the Freemasons, as they're called, they came over to America. A few of them. George Washington, he was a Freemason. Andrew Jackson was a Freemason. These guys were conspiracists, whatever. And they made plots, and I believe they planned it out very well. They couldn't have done it by themselves. They had to have something helping them, and if you continue to follow me, you'll finally understand what that something is. So they were started about that time, and after that, they just started to build and build and build. With creations to inventions that would make them more powerful. They can control inventions. They can control media. They just all want to control it. It's like you ever see of like that one superhero trying to take over the world, right? But in this case, it's a few people, a few elites, a few people with money that think money is just going to buy them all the power in the world. And they're attempting it. They can build anything, and they're attempting it. So, when you hear a lot about talk about this, it brings to mind like the devil and things like that. It brings religion into the picture also. And I guess we could touch on that a bit here in a second, from my point of view, from other people's points of view, because there's a bunch, but I believe that mine is the, well, of course, right? You're always gonna believe like you say, but I'm making this video for you to believe what you want to believe. Whatever I'm saying, you believe it, you take it in. Okay, so as it continued on, as our America continued on, you would notice that it's just become prosperous, right? Civilizations have crumbled. You can determine the future by studying the past, and if you do study the past, we are the most prosperous, and we've come a long way. And I question that way. There's something that's got to be, something's up that, and it's real hard to tell, to pinpoint how we got here, but I mean, it all adds up, right? So we've been, I mean, even in Britain, right? Now let's stop and take a second and look at religion. Okay, if you're religious affiliated, if you're, I mean, good and evil, if you know there's good and evil forces, then you are entitled to believe this. I mean, you're entitled to believe whatever you want, right? But this is how I look at it. And I know you might think it's religious mumbo jumbo, but it all makes sense. Everything makes sense. Everything that I tell you is going to make sense. It's going to add up. Okay, so we know that money is the root of all evil, right? And this is my perspective. In the Bible, Jesus was on a mountain, and I don't know the quote or nothing, but it's a story, right? Jesus was on the mountain, and Satan came to him, and he said, "I will give you everything of this world if you bow down and you worship me." And Jesus said, "No, I only worship my Father," right? In the same way as Jesus was a human just like us, okay, follow me? A human just like us, the same way the devil tempts a few people on earth, and people fall for it, There's a lot of people, I can name them off the bat, that have given their alliance to, the wrong side, right? So, in return for, worship or whatever, right? They start to receive money. They start to receive everything of this world, right? Because in the Bible it talks about, how if you hate this life, you inherit eternal life, because this life where it's only temporary, right? And so these people are being promised by evil forces that they'll live forever, that they'll have money, they'll have power, they'll have all this and all this. So they don't want to die, because they know if they die, they will not end up where they want to end up, right? So then he tempts us, famous people with money is your basic guess of who does these things, right? And so going back to all of that, you can't look at the Illuminati, you can't look at all this stuff without a religious look into it. And I gave you mine, and it's totally right, because when they were started, there was a few reports of them having meetings in the forests back in the beginning of our times, having meetings in the forest and worshiping big statues and everybody hooded, black, and there's reports of that, and you can look it up. They're doing something supernatural. And it adds up, the supernatural things. So anyways, with that, they just started to use their intellect from another source to control us. Try. They have. Trust me, they have. You might not think it, but they have. Anything you eat, anything you hear, anything you see on television, anything you eat from the grocery stores, all of it is controlled. They control it. And you might think of me as stupid and, wow, this guy's weird and he's just a conspiracy, I don't know, whatever you call it. But it's real, and it's happening right now. Just think about it, everything is not what you see. And it will never be like that. People, for every good, there's evil, right? They try and balance, but good will win eventually. But I just feel that there's so much. You can walk down the street and you see a good person doing something good. Where do you see the evil person? You might not see them, but they're deceived. They're in this deception. They have a cloak over deception over them. And it'll always be like that, right? So back to the Illuminati. These people started to control. They want to control. They want to build one nation. If you ever heard of the Georgia Guidestones, some pagan dude, I really don't think that it's much to think about or whatever, but some pagan dude wrote that you have to drop the population in the world to 500 million, right? Doing that will cause so many deaths. I mean, think about it. There was the the swine flu that just recently occurred. That was an attempt to wipe out a huge number of people. Doctors have been killed for finding cures to that and releasing them. And once they get released, everybody can, I mean, multiply and multiply, right? But it was an attempt. And all these things, I mean, you might not see them, and it's in the newspaper as what it might seem, what it might be like. But it's not that. And I mean, I guess leave a comment below if you would like to hear more stuff. This is just like a basic outline of what I was going to say. I mean, just give you a little down low on what's happening, and hopefully you can leave a comment if you want to see more. I have way many more stuff. I mean, your comment will only take a second, and you can have hours of videos to watch of just pure knowledge, pure evidence, pure everything that it's crazy. Your mind is going to be blown if you just leave a comment. So, thanks for watching, and subscribe, I guess. I don't know where it's at. So I can keep uploading. Thanks.